moments like this. I know what it feels like to be on both sides. And it's tough, man. You work hard. You put a lot of sacrifice into your craft, and you're disciplined, and you're committed for months on months. And when things don't go your way, you question everything. And it's a tough spot to be in, and it's difficult. And I think that's part of why wrestling is one of the sports that molds character better than a majority of other sports, because you have to deal with that a lot more often than others do. You don't get to point the finger to your teammates, to your peers, because you're the only one out there on the mat. So obviously feel for Holman and all the other athletes that have lost so far today, but they'll be better for it.
I think when it comes to wrestling as well, there's obviously the physical toll that gets most of the headlines, but kind of that mental toll as well. You have to be incredibly mentally strong.
Absolutely. It's difficult, man. You got to overcome a lot of adversity. You got to come over a lot of failure, and you got to be able to shrug it off, because if you're not, it's difficult to get up with the same energy and intensity that you did at the beginning of the tournament.
It was hard fought. Priest coming out victorious as we moved to 149.
Buegens here is a great wrestler. Well, he's done a great job for NC State so far this year. And Abbas, his father, was an incredible wrestler at the NCAA level too. I believe he was an NCAA finalist. I can't remember exactly how many times, but his dad was really, really good as well. Ton of skill. I believe he lost to Lincoln McElravy of Iowa. And, man, if you watch that match, it was an incredible match. McElravy ended up winning, but I believe Abbas's father had the lead right out the gate. And it was a fun match to watch. And Abbas obviously comes from a great pedigree. And Buegens, I remember before he came on campus and was enrolled in school, he'd come down a couple times while he was still in high school in Minnesota, while I was still in the room. And, man, he was scrapping like he'd been there already for months.
Junkyard dog mindset.
Absolutely, man. So he's great. He's still learning, and I think he's got a bright future. So it's great to see him here competing.
How big is that jump that you make from high school to college? I mean, you talked about Minnesota. He comes from there. He comes to college. He continues to make that jump. How big is that leap? Because for some people, it could be bigger than others.
Yeah, I think it depends, you know, how early you start the sport, what coaches and partners you're around, and what type of community you have around. And it's difficult. It varies athlete to athlete. But for a guy like Buegens, I mean, the transition is more an experienced one for him. I believe his skill level has been there since he's gotten here. I believe physically he's been ready to go since he stepped on campus. And I think it's just a matter of getting used to the experience of NCAA wrestling, being in the dual environment, being in the collegiate tournament environment. And it's like anything else. You just need reps.
No doubt. Those repetitions so key. From the high school to the collegiate level. This match, much like the last with Holman and Priest, so
great
feeling each other out.
That was beautiful timing. Abbas did a great job continuing to extend the position here, diving for the ankle and scrambling. If I'm Buegens, I want to keep my foot on the mat. Abbas is continuing to wrestle. Height wins here. So Buegens got to try and get up. Abbas has got to try and get up. And whoever is able to get height first, I feel like is going to put themselves in an advantage and win the position.
Buegens applying some pressure. There's still 22 seconds left.
Great shot, by the way. The timing was really well executed.
Those final moments of the period, so important, so crucial.
You know, timing, I feel like, is something that doesn't get talked about enough in wrestling. It's a concept, right? But applying it is incredibly difficult. And that's one of the things that goes into the transition from high school to college. You know, for a guy like Buegens, understanding timing at a more elite level is going to make a huge difference for him. You know, because at this level, right, if I decide to pull the trigger too early, I might shoot into great position. If I decide to pull the trigger too late, right, that guy might recover from whatever he was reacting to, and he might be in a great position to defend again. I got to find that perfect window where I can change levels and pull the trigger, and he's out of position. And timing plays a huge role in that. And learning how to apply that and understand that concept makes a huge difference at this level.
And that goes back to what you were saying about repetitions and how key it is. Trying that out, the trial and error process, trying to make it work, and then you execute it on the mat. That's easier said than done, of course, but again, goes back to the reps.
Yeah, exactly. Look at you, man. You need to put on a singlet.
No. I'd be in the heavyweight, and I would be quickly dominated by the opposition. We don't need to see that. There'd be a fastest pin. It'd be me. Buegens applying some of that pressure toward the end, but he falls behind in a 1-0 score.
Did a great job here. Abbas has got inside control with his right hand. Buegens, really great single leg again. And so another thing that is important to understand at this level is being able to anticipate well, right? And that kind of falls under the umbrella of timing, but, you know, you start to get used to setups, different feels that your opponents will give you, and you start to get a good idea of like, oh, his hands are here. He's probably going to shoot. Probably going to shoot a single leg. Next thing you know, you start anticipating, guy pulls the trigger, and he shoots this exact shot that you thought he was going to shoot. And that allows you to stay a step ahead. And hopefully you can capitalize on those opportunities and turn them into points.
Abbas with a 1-0 advantage. Still 40 seconds left of the period. Virginia Tech right now atop the conference standings at the moment throughout this Wrestling Championship Series. Not far behind NC State. We saw those standings a little bit earlier.
Buegens doing a good job. Looks like he's controlling the center. Abbas trying to circle back. What I would like to see is I'd like to see Buegens get back to that single leg. Here you see him kind of extending the arm there. But if Abbas goes back to that right-hand collar tie and Buegens hangs over the top again, I'd love to see him do that elbow tap single that he hit earlier.
1-0 lead for Abbas. As we ramp up for the third period. So just a 1-0 score, kind of waiting for that big moment where someone breaks ahead, kind of like we saw in the last one.
Yeah. Another thing that you talked about, when you're talking about what goes into that transition from high school to college, bottom wrestling. That's typically where you see a lot of guys struggle, especially the younger, less experienced wrestlers who get to college. They have a tougher time getting out on bottom. I think there's a little bit more intensity that goes into top wrestling when you get to college. Guys are a little bit more seasoned, they're a little bit more experienced, and two, they're just a little bit grittier than a majority of the competition that you face as a high schooler. So Buegens obviously did a great job. He's been doing a great job so far this year, but, you know, that's one thing that he's done a great job in terms of transitioning from high school to college is his bottom wrestling.
All tied at 1 apiece. Buegens getting the last point. Could be headed for another extra session. Never know when that's going to happen again. We saw one.
Oh, beautiful shot here. He's got to keep his shoulder tight here. He's hunting for the head. Hopefully he can convert here, but Abbas has a crotch lock here, and that's going to be really difficult. Buegens is going to, it looks like he's struggling to improve his position because of that, but if I'm Buegens, I'm trying to elevate that bottom foot off the mat. Just like that, get height. I would try and get that right arm through and swim it to the far side, just like that, and now I'm going to put weight towards that hand. Beautiful. Great job by Buegens.
He's able to escape and get 3. That's massive.
Great adjustments, way to continue wrestling and find a score. That was a great job by Buegens. Over a quality opponent. Now here, you want to put a ton of pressure forward. I want to get a bunch of weight towards my opponent's hands. Beautiful job. And this is where,
hold on.
It's great wrestling right here. 15 seconds left. It looks like he's going to finish this match on top.
Had him in the crotch lock just a moment ago. He's able to escape. And Buegens, the last few seconds, they take off the clock. And Buegens, the NC State faithful here, inside Cameron Indoor, they love it.
Boom, beautiful shot by Buegens. He did a great job keeping his shoulder tight. And Abbas did a great job trying to defend the position. As he continued to improve, he kept wrestling. He found the score. He got the lead, and he finished on top. Gritty win, and as you can hear from the arena, the NC State fans are excited, man. That's great, especially for the team race, which I'm happy about. And I'm not ashamed to admit.
Wolfpack Nation has come out in a lot of different sporting events. The women's basketball